Hello there, Saber fans, Shamim here. I've got an unboxing video for you guys. I don't normally do these, but for this particular hilt, I was quite excited to receive it. The hype has been real, and so without further ado, this is the V4 Luke Skywalker hilt from Roman Props. This is the Last Jedi / Force Awakens behind the scenes version of the hero prop that we originally see in Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Couple people have been receiving theirs today, and I was super excited when the mailman showed up with this just a few minutes ago. So we're gonna unbox it here together and see what we got. All right, let's take out some of these smaller pieces first. This is your hero style emitter from Return of the Jedi. This is like a blade plug, emitter blade plug. That'll go into the emitter. You've got a pommel vented for sound. Very nice, very small. All right, we'll put those away. Here's the main event and a few other small guys. D-ring and your, there you can see them, the red and green arrows. It doesn't look like these will be lit. These look like solid acrylic to me. So if you want lit arrows, you may have to do some additional modding to get that. We'll take that bubble wrap and stick it inside of some other bubble wrap, and then we'll mail that bubble wrap to ourselves. Open sesame. And here we go. Oh, mama. It's cold. It is -17 here in Minnesota today. So the hilt is very, very cold. Holy Christ. But my goodness, this is quite beautiful. The machining down here in the pommel cubes is a little sharp, a little rough around the edges. You can see some, I don't know how much of this is the cold. Now you can see some of the tooling marks in between the pommel cubes. Ignore all the smudges, that's from it being cold and my fingerprints. All right, out slides the card, and then you've got a hole there. So you'll probably put little micro tactile switches here and then run the wires down through the hole. That's my guess. A little strip of is this adhesive for the back? So we'll put that back in. Let's take a look at the control box. There you've got your 2 screws, 2 little slots for the arrows to go into. This is a solid piece. The 2 black boxes, those are solid. There seems to be a bit of a gap in between this back section and the front section of the box. You can see how they are not 100% level. We'll have to wait for Blu-ray quality pictures of the hilt to know if that's accurate to the Last Jedi version of the prop. It's condensing. The condensation is pretty heavy. Apparently, so this is genuine copper. This is genuine copper. The rest of the hilt is aluminum. You've got blade retention screw up here. So this piece would come out, and then the emitter would be flat, and you would put in your blade plug. I don't have that size screw with me right now. Otherwise, I would try to do that. Let's see how the hilt disassembles. So the pommel slides off. This is your solid display pommel. And there you've got the inside of your hilt. It unscrews at the grenade section. From the machining, it looks like it may unscrew here at the pommel cubes as well, possibly, but those look very tight, so I'm not going to play with that. And then grenade section unscrews up here at the neck. And this is the copper piece, of course. And then this is your, oh look, it is coming out. Okay, there we go. So there's your blade plug, your emitter. This is your heat sink, so that'll go in there. Looks like it'll accept a 1-inch thin-walled blade, similar to the Inception Elite, how that's set up. Let's go ahead and screw this guy back on. Make that tight, so that's not going anywhere. Let's try putting the Hero version on top of there. Is the screw is sticking out just a little bit, so it's not going to go in all the way right now. But I wonder if I can get in there with my knife and just turn it slightly. There we go. Okay, so there's your Hero style from Return of the Jedi. And then you can screw that back on. And this plug is shine through. You can see that there's my shirt underneath it. So when you have your LED set up in here, it will shine through the emitter, which I like. I don't like blade plugs that completely cover all the light. I like just a little bit of light to shine through. And so what I think I'm going to have to do with this Last Jedi style emitter is I'm going to drill a hole through the very center of that, maybe even a little bit smaller than this hole, just so that you have some shine through, because I love me some shine through. I really like the size of the grenade section ridging up here. It's quite nice. Let's throw this guy back in and just talk about the hilt all together again. Out of the way. I do have with me, this is a KR Sabers Hero, signed by Mark Hamill, so I'm going to be very careful as I handle this. But I want to do a little bit of comparing and contrasting between these two versions. The Roman props version, the emitter is maybe half a centimeter shorter than the KR version. Where does the main size difference, where does the main height difference come in? It looks to be at the pommel cube. So these pommel cubes are a little bit shorter and flatter, and that brings the rest of the Roman props version down a bit. Not down in quality, just down in overall height. Looking at the control boxes, the KR version here is wider than the Roman props version. The grenade section itself is slimmer. You can tell. I don't know if you can tell, but here on the KR version, there's a very, very, very fine lip between the silver section and then going into the black section. You can see it's like a millimeter or so of a lip. Compare that with the KR version, where the lip is down here several millimeters. And so that means that your grenade section on the Roman props version is a little bit slimmer, but the actual silver rings are thicker on the Roman props version. This neck up here, the black section, is slimmer on the Roman props version, the V4. The emitters look very, very similar, maybe a little bit slimmer. The KR version, of course, has been, the copper has been polished and then a clear coat has been applied, whereas with the Roman props version, there is no clear coat, and so unless you polish it and then apply a clear coat, this will age and will tarnish naturally. Looking at the control box on the Return of the Jedi version, flat base underneath the, where the box connects with with the rest of the hilt compared to the Roman props version. And then, of course, your D-ring, or your tri-ring here, is centered with the control box on the Return of the Jedi version, whereas here it is offset. So you can see that hole down there on the pommel. It's 90 degrees offset to the left when you're holding it like this. And that's where the D-ring will go. So that's accurate to what we see in The Last Jedi. And apparently that was a last-minute revision that Roman Props made after the film came out. So he went into production on this saber before Last Jedi came out. And then when Last Jedi came out, and then he saw that the pommel cube, that the D-ring was offset, he went and made a last-minute change. Apparently, that's what I understand. To have happened. And if that's the case, that's pretty cool. I applaud him for going the extra mile to make it a bit more screen accurate. I don't know how I feel about this face of the control box not really being one size, or one being not being one shape, one piece. You can even see on the front here that it's a separate piece. This side is a separate piece leading up to where the control boxes are. So this bit here where the arrows go and the screws go, that's a separate piece. And it looks like it may even be screwed on by those two screws that are decorative on most other versions, but here maybe actually be holding that plate on. So that's interesting. Let's see, what else? The actual angle of the pommel cubes, let's look at this top one up here, is a little bit different. As you can notice, the slope of the angle closer to the pommel is not as steep as the one that's here. So this one is much more close to being vertical than this one, which is more at a 45-degree angle. Apparently also accurate to what we see in The Last Jedi. Whereas on the hero prop in Return of the Jedi, consensus seems to be that they were equally angled. Although apparently that's not the case on the V2 prop, but we're not talking about the V2 right now. We're talking about the hero version. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this guy. I'm going to be doing a little bit of weathering just to make it a bit more screen accurate to Last Jedi, where we see that there is some darker smudging and scuffing here and there when Luke is holding it in his hands. If there's one complaint that I have, it's the finish. That there are machine marks in between the cubes, the pommel cubes, even here on this side of the pommel cubes, you can see that there are some machining marks. And then when you run your fingers through the ridging, some of them are quite smooth, but then some of them, let's see, right there, that one right opposite the control box is quite sharp. So I'm going to file that down. And then the anodizing here on the grenade section is well, I can notice imperfections. I don't know how well you'll be able to see them on camera. Probably not very. But maybe around on this ring, right there, right as it's going past my finger, you can see the white dot. That's part of where the anodizing isn't quite as perfect. But it's okay because I'm going to be doing a little bit of weathering on this, and so when I go in with the aluminum black, I can fix those areas off. But for those who want a pristine saber, just based on the version that I've received here, there may be a few you know, imperfections here and there. Looking at the two emitters. Very, very similar. The KR one is not shine through, whereas the one from Roman Props is a shine through. So that's a positive from the Roman Props version. Love me some shine through. But yeah, Roman Props V4 balance, as he calls it. Luke's episode 8 lightsaber. Hero shot that we see with him holding it in his robot hand as he's about to strike down his nephew Ben Solo, where he contemplates that very controversial moment in Star Wars history, as some people argue that it is in keeping with Luke's character, and others argue that it is not in keeping with Luke's character. So the debate rages on. But overall, I'm very happy with the balance. It's the first true Last Jedi version of this hilt. I know that when KR was doing his run, he included an optional emitter piece that simulated the emitter that we saw on behind the scenes discs from The Force Awakens. That was a Target exclusive disc. If you went and got your Blu-ray at Target, you got to see that behind the scenes feature where we saw, sitting on the table, Luke's lightsaber looking sort of like this with this emitter. And so KR went ahead and included that with his hero prop. But he really did work to make this Return of the Jedi style with an optional TFA style blade plug. But what we have here, as far as I'm aware, is the first run of screen-accurate Last Jedi hilts that Luke has, with the offset pommel cube, some different detailing here in the control box, and then, of course, the emitter. And one of the things that people notice is the wider silver on the grenade section. So I like seeing the wider silver rings on Roman Prop's version. If at any time during this video I accidentally messed up saying KR Sabers versus Roman Props one way or the other, I apologize for that. But I think I got most of it right. In any case, balance V4, I'm very happy with it. I think overall 8.5 out of 10, just because of the machining flaws here and there. That's really the only thing, the machining flaws here and there. Don't know if this was just an aesthetic choice that he made, or if it's you know, based on what he's seen in The Last Jedi. I'm gonna have to go and look at that again. But overall impressions are very good. If you ordered one of these, I hope that you'll be happy with it. The pre-orders are now shipping out, and I believe he still has some stock available on his website. Link is below. I also hear that KR Sabers is going to be doing a second run, or another run of his version of the Hero. So if you missed out on that and you prefer to have a Return of the Jedi version, both of these sabers come empty. I don't have the Evolution Arms Vader's Vault version of the Hero to compare. Those don't come empty. Those come fully installed with either Crystal Shard or I believe Crystal Focus, if you do Evolution Arms, or maybe also Vader's Vault offers Crystal Focus, I don't remember. But if you don't want to install it yourself, or you want something quality, ready-made, out the box, stay tuned for, not stay tuned, but keep your eye out for the Vader's Vault Evolution Arm version. I think that those are all sold out. I don't know if they're doing another run, but those pop up for sale every now and then. So yeah, enough ranting from me. Quite happy with it, and I'll leave you as I always do. May the Force be with you.